Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. On Capitol Hill, Democratic lawmakers grilled Attorney General Pam Bondi on the Justice Department handling of the Epstein files. Democratic Congressmember Pramila Jayapal asked survivors who are sitting in the audience to stand up before she challenged Bondi to apologize to them for the Justice Department failure to fully redact their names in the Epstein files. Bondi declined. Throughout the hearing, she insulted Democrats on the House Judiciary Committee and heaped praise on President Trump as she repeatedly dodged accusations she's perpetuating a cover-up and ignoring the victims. This is part of an exchange between Bondi and New York Democratic Congressmember Jerry Nadler.
So I really have just one question for you. How many of Epstein's co-conspirators have you indicted? How many perpetrators are you even investigating?
First, you showed it. I find it.
How many have you indicted?
Excuse me. I'm going to answer the question.
Answer my question.
No, I'm going to answer the question the way I want to answer the question.
No,
Your
you're
theatrics
answer the
are
question
ridiculous.
the way I asked it.
Chairman Jordan, I'm not going to get in the gutter with these people, but I'm going to answer the question.
How many?
A Reuters photographer at the hearing captured images of Attorney General Bondi with a printout of Congressmember Jayapal's history of searches of the Justice Department's database of the Epstein files, which was just open to Congress members to review. Congressmember Jayapal blasted Bondi on social media, writing, quote, "It's totally inappropriate and against the separations of powers for the DOJ to surveil us as we search the Epstein files. Bondi showed up today with a burn book that held a printed search history of exactly what emails I searched. That is outrageous, and I intend to pursue this and stop this spying on members," unquote. We'll speak with Congressmember Jayapal later in the broadcast, as well as Vermont Congressmember Becca Balint. She walked out of the hearing after Bondi accused her of being anti-Semitic. Congressmember Balint's grandfather died in the Holocaust. President Trump held a private meeting at the White House for nearly 3 hours on Wednesday with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. After the discussions, Trump said nothing definitive had been decided. His visit came just days after U.S. and Iranian officials held indirect talks in Oman amidst Trump's persistent threats to once again bomb Iran. It was Netanyahu's 6th trip to the United States since Trump retook the White House just over a year ago. We'll have more on Netanyahu's visit after headlines with Middle East analyst Mouin Rabbani. We'll talk about Iran, about Israel, about the occupied territories. Israeli President Isaac Herzog has wrapped up a 4-day visit to Australia, where he was met by widespread protests. Thousands of demonstrators gathered in Melbourne today, following protest marches in the capital Canberra and Sydney. Protester Greg Hunt said Herzog was the wrong person to provide comfort to Australia's Jewish community after a pair of gunmen opened fire on Hanukkah celebration last December, killing 15 people.
I understand the idea of giving comfort to an Israeli people after the atrocity that they suffered at Bondi, but that doesn't excuse an invitation to someone who, as I've got on the sign here, a sign of bomb to drop on Gazans. And that's just beyond the pale, and Albo should have known better. He really should have.
In Pennsylvania, masked federal agents forced their way into a home in Eagleville on Monday, terrorizing a family sleeping inside that included 2 children aged 8 and 13. Lupe Lopez, who lives at the home, recorded video as the agents battered down her door.
Get out of here! Get out! What the f*** is your problem?
The video shows Lopez was held at gunpoint as the masked agents search for her 26-year-old cousin, a Mexican national with an expired visa. Lopez appealed to the agents to leave her home.
Why do you do this? Why do you break families apart? Why? You don't have kids? You don't have a family? Why do you do this? Do you think this is okay? I know you feel something.
In Minnesota, St. Paul Mayor Kali Herr has renewed her call for an end to Operation Metro Surge and for over 2,000 federal agents to leave the Twin Cities after a car crash involving federal agents Wednesday sent one person to the hospital and damaged several vehicles. Meanwhile, human rights lawyers who visited the Whipple Federal Building in Minneapolis said immigrants jailed there are continuing to be denied access to legal counsel. In court declarations filed Wednesday, the lawyers said people arrested by ICE were provided with the wrong phone numbers for legal services and that ICE agents gave no privacy to people calling lawyers in violation of attorney-client privilege. Here in New York, ICE acknowledged in federal court this week that it's been jailing immigrants on a second, previously undisclosed floor at 26 Federal Plaza in Manhattan. The disclosure came after a judge last summer ordered the Trump administration to address squalid, unsanitary conditions and prolonged confinement in overcrowded rooms at 26 Federal Plaza, not designed for overnight stays. New body cam footage and emails have been released, revealing new details about how a federal immigration agent shot U.S. citizen Marimar Martinez 5 times in Chicago last October. The footage shows Border Patrol agents in their vehicle with weapons drawn and fingers on the triggers, as Martinez can be heard honking her car's horn in the background to alert neighbors about the presence of federal agents.
Something. All right, it's time to get aggressive and get the out.
Shortly after the incident, Gregory Bovino, who was leading the Trump administration's mass deportation campaign at the time, emailed the agent, quote, "In light of your excellent service in Chicago, you have much yet left to do," exclamation point twice. Martinez's attorneys said Wednesday they'll seek tens of millions of dollars in damages under the Federal Tort Claims Act. The Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, abruptly closed the airspace around El Paso, Texas, late Tuesday and reopened it hours later after Customs and Border Protection officials reportedly fired an anti-drone laser shared by the Pentagon without providing FAA officials enough time to manage the risks to commercial flights. According to the New York Times, immigration officials thought they were targeting a drug cartel drone, but it turned out to be a party balloon. Democratic Senator Jack Reed, who sits on the Armed Services Committee, said, quote, "The conflicting accounts coming from different parts of the federal government only deepen public concern and raise serious questions about coordination and decision-making," unquote. The House of Representatives has approved a bill that seeks to repeal President Trump's declaration of a national emergency to impose punitive tariffs on Canada. 6 Republicans joined nearly all Democrats in supporting the resolution, which appears to have enough support to pass the Senate. President Trump signaled he's prepared to veto the bill and plans to punish defectors. Trump wrote on social media, quote, "Any Republican in the House or the Senate that votes against tariffs will seriously suffer the consequences come election time, and that includes primaries," Trump wrote. President Trump accepted the Washington Coal Club's inaugural award on Wednesday, declaring him the, quote, "undisputed champion of beautiful, clean coal," unquote. Trump accepted the award, a statue of a coal miner from Peabody Energy president and CEO Jim Gretsch during a White House event where Trump announced he directed the Pentagon to purchase electricity from coal-fired plants and said he'd asked the Energy Department to provide $175 million in federal funds for upgrades at several U.S. coal plants.
I've saved 74 coal power plants from crushing restrictions and closures that would have been forced to shut down in the very immediate future. And today I'm proud to announce that the Tennessee Valley Authority is taking action to save 2 major coal plants in Tennessee. Tennessee Valley Authority.
In response, the Natural Resources Defense Council wrote, quote, "While Americans are demanding clean, affordable energy, the Trump administration's using our tax dollars to prop up the nation's dirtiest, least efficient power plants. It's no wonder fossil fuel lobbyists are handing Trump an award today," unquote. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has fired program manager Alexis Goldstein for documenting a meeting last year between the agency and Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. That's according to emails obtained by Bloomberg News. In a statement to Bloomberg, Goldstein said, quote, "CFPB is illegally retaliating against me for trying to do my job. I acted to protect the sensitive data of Americans and the trade secrets of some of the nation's largest banks and financial institutions from being accessed by individuals from DOGE without CFPB credentials and required training," unquote. To see our past interviews with Alexis Goldstein, go to democracynow.org. An Argentina Senate has approved a sweeping new labor bill pushed by far-right President Javier Milei. The bill would curb the right to strike, allow companies to more easily fire people, and curtail severance payments. It comes as thousands of workers mobilized by trade unions gathered in central Buenos Aires, clashing with police on Wednesday. This is Mario Manrique with the Auto Industry Workers Union.
What's being presented as labor modernization is exactly the opposite. This labor reform that the government is proposing is a compilation of all the reforms they've tried to pass in Argentina. And the only thing they're looking for is Argentina to become a cheap labor hub in the world, as unfortunately happens in other regions.
And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Thanks for watching Democracy Now! On YouTube. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to make sure you never miss a video. And for more of our audience-supported journalism, go to democracynow.org, where you can download our news app, sign up for our newsletter, subscribe to the daily podcast, and so much more.